Hey y'all, you are tuned in to Thoughts of a Blog Queen podcast. I am your host, Larae Renee, also known as Blog Queen, and this is part 2 of episode 31, a woman's thoughts on her anxiety, her relationships, and her awareness. Let's do this.
Let's do this.
It's showtime.
You're listening to the Thoughts of a Blog Queen podcast.
These are just my thoughts.
With your host, Larae Renee.
A woman, her thoughts, and a mic.
Are you ready? Check this out.
Okay, y'all, so welcome back. Now, if you are, first of all, if you didn't tune into part 1, go run that back and then come and catch up here. You can't be starting on part 2. If you seen part 2 and you ain't check out part 1, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Go back to part 1, play that, and then meet me here. All right, so let me do just a very quick wrap up. I'm not going to give it all away. Like I said, you need to go back and listen, but we're talking about anxiety, we're talking about intimate relationships, and we're just kind of talking about kind of the effects of anxiety in those intimate relationships. And I want to talk about kind of ways to get through some of the effects of anxiety. So I gave 3 different perspectives of how anxiety enters into a relationship from the very beginning. So you either went into the relationship with anxiety based on things you've gone through in the past trauma, past hurt, past whatever, or just whatever it is that you're dealing with in life at that moment. It didn't necessarily have to be from the past, but so you're going into a relationship with anxiety. You found yourself with someone that is causing you to have anxiety due to that relationship. So it's like, not that you went into the relationship, but you are now developing anxiety because of this damn relationship. And then I talked about how if commitment issues from being in that relationship, whether this is the right person or not, it's about you not even being ready and not being honest with yourself about that. If you're not really being honest about the fact that you're not even in a place in your life to even be worrying about being in a relationship, you shouldn't even be entertaining this. This is not the right time. If you're not really being honest with yourself about that, much less the other person, you're going to begin to do things. The closer you get to that person, you're going to develop commitment issues because you know it's not right. You know it's not right. And so the closer that you get and you could be with the person, I'm not even going to say that it has anything to do with that person, because maybe that person is doing all of the right things. And is genuinely a good person. But if you're not really ready, it's going to make you do things like self-sabotage. You're going to project shit onto that person and into the relationship. You're just going to be doing stuff that's ultimately going to push that person away. The results of it is not going to be great. And I think the question that you need to ask yourself before going into a relationship, and this is real talk. Are you happy with yourself and where you're at in life? Think about that for a second. I'm going to give you 2.5 seconds. If the answer to that question is no, you're not ready to be in a relationship. Straight up. You're not really ready to be in a relationship if you are not happy with yourself and you're not happy with the place that you're at in life. You still got shit to do, sis. You got work to do. There's things you need to work on. There's ways that you still need to grow. You may need to grow up if you still, really just entertaining things and people that you really don't need to anymore. Not really giving yourself the self-love that you need, tolerating certain things, just financially not in the best place, mentally, spiritually, whatever it is that still is, kind of rough in those areas and you haven't worked to kind of smooth them out, you're not really ready to be in a relationship. you know, like, I know you want to be in a relationship and stuff, and like, we all want somebody we don't. And I'm not saying that, like, I don't know, because I think we just really need to really figure out when we need to go through those spells where we really just need to be single and like get past the part where, or the feelings of like, I gotta have somebody, I gotta be with somebody needs to be in my bed, somebody needs to be in my space, and try to get, like, grow up out of those urges, I guess I'm gonna call them, and really be honest about the fact that this is a time where I need to be focused on this, or, you know what I mean? I know, like, personally, from a personal perspective, I know I've gone through that, like, more times than I probably want to admit to y'all, but I wasn't being honest with myself about what I want or what I needed at that moment. And I don't know, single women syndrome will kick in, and you're like, you feel like you don't want to be single anymore, and so you latch on to whatever is around you, whatever is closest to you, even though you may not need to. And so you're sitting here just trying to entertain the thought of this, and it's like, you don't, like, this isn't what you need. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because it's not what you need right now. And if you're a spiritual person or not, or it could just be your own inner voice, will tell you, like, you need to do some soul searching before you try to be, like, legit serious with somebody. And really, like, I really want y'all to really be honest with yourself about that. That is when you know you're growing. I keep seeing this thing. I know I've posted it probably a couple of times where it's like, you know, something to the effect of, like, growth will have you calling you out on your own bullshit. And I know I've tweeted about that because it's true. It's like when you start, like, telling yourself that I knew better than that, or I can do better than that, or I didn't need to do this, or what, like, when you can really start calling yourself out on stuff like that, that's when you know you're growing. But to get back to, like, the anxiety of it, it's like, you are going to be putting all of this energy into a dead situation, or a situation that is not your now. You know what I'm saying? Some people will come into your life and it's just not the right time. And sometimes people still end up with that person, but it's just like, if we can really be honest, like, okay, this isn't the best time for me to do this. If it's meant to be, it will be. Like, as cliche as that might sound, if it's meant to be, it will be. But, like, work on you, because if you're not working on you, and if you still have shit that you need to process through and work out and grow through, this is how you're going to, like, cause yourself to feel so anxious about certain things when you don't even need to feel that way, because it's just not, it's not the right time. So, okay, so, like, talking about like that. So I want to break this list down. I have this list, and I want to go through these. I want to go through the ways that the anxiety will, what it does to her, and then I want to talk about how you can work through it. So, first of all, anxiety is going to trigger your trust issues. How do we get through that? Let's do an honest assessment of why these trust issues are being triggered. Let's be honest about that. What is happening? What is happening around you? What are you experiencing that is bringing these things, that is triggering these things? Because that's what it is. It's a trigger. So that means there's something that is happening, something that you're seeing, or something that you're experiencing, something that you're going through that is, like, taking a jab at that trust issue. So there has to be something going on with that person. So are you ignoring red flags? Are you ignoring red flags? Because that is going to bring out a bout of anxiety in you. So an honest assessment of why your trust issues are being triggered to begin with. Something is happening. That is the whole thing. Like, people, you hear it all the time. Oh, I got triggered. Well, something is happening. And if you're not being honest about that, how are you working through anything? How are you working through it? Right? We talked about the fear of commitment, feelings of insecurity in that relationship. If you're feeling insecure, and I think this can be more so, this doesn't necessarily have to be about, this can come from you when you go into a relationship with trust issues. So keep up with me. Remember, I talked about 3 different ways that anxiety will find your way into the relationship, right? So I think that if you are feeling insecure about the relationship, that can come from a woman who goes into a relationship with anxiety. So she's going to feel insecure. Maybe she was with someone who really lowered her self-esteem. Maybe she was with someone that just really didn't value who she was as a woman. And so now you're in this different relationship and you're getting these insecure feelings, and that kind of latches on and that kind of couples up with trust issues to an extent. But if you're feeling insecure, the way to cope through that is to give an honest projection of your feelings. And so this is where the communication has to come in. And I talked about that in part 1. I talked about how you really have to be able to lay things out on the table, and you really have to be able to talk about what you're going through, what you're feeling in that moment, instead of just doing things like lashing out or projecting negative thoughts and feelings onto that person when they didn't even really deserve it. So you have to give an honest projection. You have to really communicate and talk about, like, this is why I'm feeling like this right now. This situation happened, and this is why I'm feeling like this. And so going forward, and a good partner, when you put that out there, they're going to receive that, and they're going to say, okay, what do you need me to do? And if they're learning at the same time as you, then you can tell them, like, this is how I'm feeling. This is what happened. This is how I'm feeling. This is how it made me feel. And this is what I need you to do in this situation. Whether it's give me a moment or like, don't give me a moment. Let's talk about it right now, because the longer that I let this sit and brew in my mind, I'm just going to go down a rabbit hole of anxiety, and that's not going to be good. It's going to cause me to do all kind of dumb shit. So let's not wait. It just depends on who you are and how you handle things, how you work through things. Anxiety will physically impact your body and your health. Anxiety anxiety, let me tell you what anxiety does to me. Anxiety has me really like, anxiety does not, it takes away the motivation that I have for wanting to take care of myself physically, going to work out, and my weight will go up and down, up and down, up and down. I know what my healthy weight looks like. I know how I look when I'm at my healthiest. I know how I look when I'm toned. I know how I look and I know how I feel when I'm at my ideal weight. And I just know, because I know my body. And when I'm anything outside of that, it's because I'm not taking care of myself. And whether you're going through the moments where you're just not eating healthy, you're not eating at all. Sometimes, like for me, I wouldn't even have like a real appetite. I wouldn't be intaking much of anything. And that's not helping you to, get your body in the best shape when you're just not even eating anything at all. But you don't have an appetite because you're too worried. And you know what I mean? It's like you're just getting through the day, however that whatever that may look like. I can remember days where I would literally have maybe like a cup of coffee in the morning. I might have some kind of snack. I may get through a half a bottle of water, and then I'm going to bed and trying to get some sleep. And it's like, I wake up the next day feeling like shit, and I'm like, this is like, I try to process and go through what I went through the day before, and I'm like, well, first of all, you didn't even put any kind of nutrients in your body, you have no, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing to yourself? So it will physically impact you if you're not really like taking care of yourself. And for me, I had to find a new way to kind of get myself back into the right shape, because it was either on one end of the spectrum, like I was either eating too much of the unhealthy stuff or not eating enough. And I definitely can tell the difference. And so I had to figure out why I was doing that. And I knew that it came from my anxiety. I knew that anxiety was the reason why I was eating all this junk food, why I wasn't putting enough water in my body, why I was like just feeling sluggish during the day. So for me to cope through it, I had to incorporate like cardio, and cardio is a really, really good way to get your mind focused, to get your body back, to a toned place, to burn off calories that you know what I mean, so that you can kind of balance out whatever you need to do. You can get on YouTube, and there are thousands of home videos that you could, pop in and just follow along. But just incorporate, or even if you don't want to do cardio, on the other side of that, there's yoga. Yoga is a great way to keep your body, because listen, when they say that your body is your temple, it definitely plays a role on your mental. Your physical does impact your mental, because if you're not even feeling great about how you look, that's not going to help. That's not helping your anxiety in the least bit. So for me, I just wanted to make sure that I was taking a look at my self-care and what self-care looked like for me throughout the month, and how many times am I working out? How many times am I doing stretches? How many times am I going to walk out on the trail? How many times am I getting on the bike? Just whatever it is that I needed to do, really make sure that you're putting that on the forefront, taking care of your body physically. So another way is that anxiety is it can have an effect on the goals that you have, and things that you want to do, because there's a fear of people judging you. So I know for me personally, like there's been so many things that I wanted to do creatively, and then I just kind of like stepped back. I don't know, and I ended up doing them, but I will get into my head sometimes, like wondering what people are going to think about me doing this or doing that. Take my podcast, for example. I will go through, I've been doing podcasting for a while now, for years now. And when I'm going through my worst spell of anxiety, it's telling me that I'm really exposing a lot of information. It's telling me that I'm speaking about things that some people may not understand. I'm worrying about the wrong things. Like I'm worried about an audience that's not my audience, and that's not the audience that I need to worry about. All I need to worry about is who my audience is. And my episodes are played by who my audience is, and my audience will continue to expand, and there are going to be people who are going to listen to me and like what I'm talking about and be interested, and then there are going to be people that are not interested. And I was worried more about the people who are not interested, and that has nothing to do with me. or my podcast, worrying about who's not, you know what I mean? Like, I need to focus on putting out the content for the people that actually are looking forward to me getting on the microphone, the people that are inquiring, and the people that are sharing, the people that are talking about it, the people that know, the people that are hitting me up and saying, listen, when you talked about this, you know what I mean? The positive feedback that I'm getting, that is what I need to let feed me, because the more I fill up on that, then I'm starving my anxiety. But if I'm trying to worry about who's not going to like me, or who's not going to find an interest in what I'm doing in any of my platforms, that is where I am. But that's what anxiety does. It makes you think about things that you don't even need to think about. It makes you worry about shit that you don't need to worry about. I mean, just plain and simple. But that's the whole point of anxiety. And get out of your head with that. Because if you continue to allow yourself to worry about what other people are going to think, it is going to take away from we don't know how much time we have on this earth, right? So if you're always worrying about that and you're limiting what you're doing with yourself and worrying about whether people are going to judge you, because listen, people are going to like you and people are not going to like you. People are going to support you and people are not going to support you. People are going to share your shit and some people are not. People are going to, it's going to be both ways. There are going to be people who truly, genuinely love everything that you do. And then you know what I mean? Like, it comes with the territory. When you decide to become a creative, you decide to express yourself freely and do whatever it is that you're going to do, that comes with the territory. But when you're living with anxiety, it is going to try to get you to not do that. It can be your worst enemy. It's going to try to tell you that you're wasting your time. People are going to judge you. People are going to not find you appeal, whatever it is. And that is where you have to find a way to get through that. And the way to cope with that part of what anxiety does is to constantly affirm yourself. Practice constant affirmation. Those things that you wake up and that you say to yourself every day, the power of the tongue, y'all, I'm telling you, they mean something. You have to be your number one supporter and you know what I mean? Listen, before I record any episode, I'm not even exaggerating. I hype myself up so much before I do any episode. I run through everything that I know that I want to talk about. You know what I mean? Sometimes I practice before I actually get on to record. It just kind of depends. A lot of times I freestyle. I'll outline things, but sometimes I just kind of speak through. But I'll run through the things that I'm talking about, and I'm constantly trying to affirm myself before I do anything. Before I write a blog, I'm affirming myself. When I wake up in the morning, I'm affirming myself. Any new creative thing that I do, I affirm myself. When I accomplish something, when I complete something, I'm always hyping myself up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when stuff comes together, I'm like, yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I start to see how my blog and how my brand, how everything is like flowing together and it just makes sense. Like, I love that shit. And I'm always hyping myself up. And anytime that I want to do anything, I am always like, listen, you do what you do and you are such an influence and look, all you got to do is look out there. People are watching you and people are watching you. You can see it because you're influencing them to do a lot of the things that you know what I'm saying? Hype yourself up. Like, what I'm doing, I'm not doing this in vain. Everything that I'm doing, there's a purpose. I know I'm amazing at what I do. I know I'm creative as fuck. I know that I can do this. I am constantly affirming myself in a journal. I'm always writing down all of the things that I know that I am. And that kind of, it counters the feelings of being judged, or the feelings of worrying about people that aren't going to, really find your work interesting or something that appeals to them. And to put that in perspective of a relationship, you have to constantly affirm yourself when you're in a relationship, because not only should you be like you want the person that you're with to affirm you, but if you are not getting that, but you're constantly affirming yourself, eventually you are going to get out of that situation. You're going to outgrow it. Because not only should you be uplifting yourself, that person should be uplifting you too. But you should do it enough for the both of you, to where you don't even need any, you know what I'm saying? You don't even need that person to affirm you or uplift you anymore. And you realize that that person brings no value to your life, and you can move on. Like, you're not seeing the value in me, but I see it in my damn self, and I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I know what I am. I know who I am. And you're not seeing that, and you're not giving me that. You're not acknowledging that. You're not showing me that you value that. You're showing me that you are actually taking me for granted, and I can do a whole lot better than that. So practice constant affirmation of yourself. Anxiety can cause you to lash out unnecessarily when you're in a relationship. And again, that kind of goes back with your trust issues and your insecurities, but it will cause you to lash out. And sometimes you don't even need to lash out. So you're in this situation, and when you're in a relationship and it's a relationship that's actually worth working on, sometimes you will get into these arguments or disagreements or conflicts, whatever it is that you want to call it. And I know some of y'all don't want to hear this, because I don't be wanting to hear it either, but we're not always right. I mean, I almost choked getting that out. Like, it was kind of hard for me to say that, but we're not always right. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we do be tripping, and I will catch myself right after, and I'm like, oh, I put too much on that. Yeah. All right. I did. That was a lot right there. That was aggressive as fuck. And I need to rethink how I go. I need to do that again. I was off. But it's the admitting part for me. Like, at least admit it. Even if you go through the moment. I'm making myself laugh because I'm just thinking about myself in certain situations, and I just be like, yeah, I did a lot. I did a lot there, and I apologize. I apologize for that. I definitely shouldn't have said that. Or you'll go back and you read text messages and you're like, why did I say that? Like, in that moment, you are really in your own zone, and you're really trying to prove a point, and you're doing a lot, sis. We're doing a lot. Like, listen, I want to tell y'all, listening to this podcast, I'm going to be honest, because it's just me and you right here, right? It's just us. It's just us in the room. So I'm going to be honest about what I'm talking to you about. And I'm going to let you know that sometimes you be doing a lot. And I know this because I too am people that do a lot. So you have to, the best way to do that, and let me tell you, this one here, this is a good one. Write this down. Listen. When you have those moments, when you're going through stuff, you have to give yourself a grace period. And when I say give yourself a grace period, I mean, before you have to try, now you got to work at this because it's hard. But when you see yourself about to go over that ledge, you need to kind of stop in that moment and give yourself grace to take that moment in. Because right now you're about to speak out on a lot right now. You're about to say a lot. And a lot of sometimes emotions are like your mouth is faster than your mouth, and your emotions are faster than your brain. So the way you just feel in that moment is causing you to blurt out a lot of stuff that you may not even need to blurt out. Whereas you didn't take a moment to process what the situation is, why we got to where we're at, and is there a better way, before I just go ham, is there a better way to approach this situation with my partner? And so that's where you need to communicate. All right, listen, let me tell you, because this right here, this what's going on, this is about to go left in 5, 4, so before the countdown is on, it's about to go left. So before we go there, I need to give myself a moment. I need to give myself some grace, because I need to make sure that how I'm about to react is warranted. I need to make sure that I'm not overreacting, because a lot of times it really is. And when you take a step back and you allow yourself that grace period, you sleep on it, you come back, you will approach things differently. I was listening to a podcast. I have no idea what podcast I was listening to or who actually said it, but I was listening to a podcast, and the podcast had a guest on, and the guest was talking about relationships and how to work through conflict in your relationship. And he gave, like, I think maybe three different things to do to handle conflict. But one of the things that he gave that I found to be interesting was to give yourself an hour. Allow you or your partner to call a timeout, is what he said. And in this timeout, you only get 1 hour. You have to come back to whatever it was after that hour, but I feel like I talked about this before because it sticks with me. You know, when something really sticks with you and you find value in it, you may share it. So I may have shared this with y'all before. Definitely, I may have shared it in my first season. But anyway, so allow yourself to take a time out. So I think that's kind of like, you know, what the grace period can be. You will say that, okay, I need to take a time out, and I need to we need a moment before we finish this conversation. We need to get through exactly what like this moment needs to happen. And sorry about the sirens y'all hear in the background, but we need a time out, and let me take that. So that's the same as that grace period. Because once you take that moment, when you come back, you have cooled off, you have thought about it, you have allowed your anxiety to kind of subside, kind of calm down, kind of like you took a moment, take a breather, and it works. I've tried that, and it works, because emotions go haywire over what is, especially when you really think you're right. But when you take that time out, where you give yourself that grace period, then you're allowing yourself to think through some things, and you're allowing yourself to think before you speak. Right? So, anxiety will also have you to focus on the worst case scenario of the relationship. You're thinking about all of the negative stuff. If I don't know if y'all are fans of Married at First Sight, but one of the couples, I can't think of his name in the couple, but one of the black guys, not Elijah One, but the other guy, his thing was and this was where his partner, his new wife, she found it to be an issue, but his thing was he goes into things and he wants to prepare himself for the worst so that it basically doesn't hit him, and he's not taken by surprise when bad things happen. So he assumes that the worst is going to happen. That's a form of that. And I think that's a mild form of anxiety where you assume the worst is going to happen. And she was just like, how are you always going to assume that the worst is going to happen? How are you always going to assume that we're always going to, you know what I mean? Like, she found that to be a very negative mindset. And that is what anxiety will do to you, where you will just always think of the worst case scenario. Responses to your partner are always going to be negative. Everything that you, and that, again, all of this stuff kind of like ties together. Your trust issues may start to get ruffled a little bit, but like you're always thinking of the worst case scenario. Well, I know it's not going to work. Eventually, you're going to find somebody else, or I'm going to find somebody else, or we're going to break up, or like I know your family, whatever it is, your family isn't going to like, my family isn't going to like him, whatever it is. You're just always thinking about the worst case scenario when you haven't even gotten there yet. And that's something that just can be, it's big for people with anxiety, even outside of their relationships. They're always thinking about the worst case scenario. And that right there, that was one of the ways that anxiety hit me the worst, because it prevented me from doing a lot of things and holding myself back from a lot of things, because I was always thinking about the bad stuff, the way that it can happen. And, it doesn't help when what you're consuming mentally is always negative. So that's why, like, I definitely encourage, just a sidebar, like, I encourage taking a break, social media, unplugging from social media, taking a break from the news, taking a break from just always seeing all of this negative shit in the news, talking about negative stuff, allowing someone to always vent negativity to you and just pour that into you. Like, all of that stuff, you really do have to take a break from all of that stuff, because that is going to be how you, like, handle a lot of things. And that is, that's like a red flag within yourself, but you know what I mean? You don't want to be that person in the relationship that's just always assuming things are going to be bad. And so the way to cope through that is to just refocus on right now. If right now everything is good, let everything be good. If right now everything is cool, let everything be cool. When your mind starts to wander and you start thinking about all this other stuff, like, try to figure out a way to get back to the moment and living in that moment and making sure that everything is working out, like, everything is good, everything is positive. Right now, I'm not worried about something that hasn't happened yet. I'm not worried, like, cross that road when you get there, but just when you feel like your mind is about to go there, just draw yourself back in. And when anxiety is about to take flight, find a tactic. One thing that, when your mind starts doing all of that, one thing that I learned to do was I guess they call it like the 3x3 rule, where you have to, when your anxiety is like all over the place, the 3x3, you're supposed to take a moment to stop wherever you're at, look around, and name 3 things that you see, name 3 things that you hear, and touch 3 things that you can touch around you. And by doing that, you're manipulating the mind, and you're taking your focus off of whatever it was you were about to go, like, on a tangent on. Your mind was about to, or you may already have gone there in your mind, worrying about and feeling anxious, hyperventilating, whatever it is that you're going through your anxiety in that moment. When you do that 3x3, it manipulates the brain, and it takes you, it grounds you, it brings you back down. Like, that's how you have to break anxiety, is allow yourself to be grounded again. So, those are just some of the things that, I have found to be helpful for myself personally. Everything that I talked about as ways to cope through is something that I've personally tried to do. Anxiety just makes you overthink a lot of shit. Ultimately, it makes you overthink a lot of stuff, and it really can be a burden on your life, and you really have to learn how to manage it. Because, like I said, I don't know that it ever really truly just goes away and out of your life, but you really have to figure out the best way to manage it. And for me, like, I'm not a person, I don't want to take prescription drugs. I'm just not into it. So if I can prevent myself from doing that, I will. And so, I try to find alternatives for everything. Anxiety, one thing that anxiety does to me personally all of the time, I lose a lot of sleep at night. Nighttime is when my mind is the worst, and nighttime is when anxiety hits me the worst, because I start thinking about a lot of crazy shit, and I start feeling really nervous and anxious and feeling really, just really vulnerable in that moment, and just scared and nervous and anxious, and just, feeling like I'm going to sleep and there was so much I didn't do, and there's so much that's not going to get done, and what about this? And, it's just a lot at night, and I get paranoid, and it's just a lot. And so I lose a lot of sleep at night. But I don't want to take prescription things and things like that. So I find natural supplements that'll help me go to sleep. Melatonin is not really my jam. So take that. If it works for you, wonderful. I don't really like the way that it makes me too groggy. That's what it does to me. Now the ashwagandha, I like that. Bygoli, try that. If you're having trouble with anxiety, try the ashwagandha. That's the Goli in the blue bottle. And you guys can use my code PINK, Sharing Pink. How I'm gonna plug y'all to a code, and it's Sharing Pink. I think the code for 10% off is Sharing Pink. You can check out all my blogs, Sharing Pink Promotions blog, and the code is on there, but I'm pretty sure it's Sharing Pink. If you want an extra 10%, if you try the ashwagandha, if you're having trouble with sleeping and anxiety is something that you're trying to work through, try that. It does really help me to sleep. It really does get me to a more centered place after work. If you have a hectic kind of day at work, that helps you to kind of center yourself and kind of calms your nerves back down. And also hemp oil. So natural things for me, I think, are the best. And that's kind of what I want to put into my body. I really just don't want to go get prescriptions and take all of this extra stuff. So, but to each its own. Meditation is always great if that's your thing. But again, you have to just find what works, and then you have to figure out the best way to cope. You have to find the best way to work through, and just don't allow anxiety to be something that just comes in and damages your relationship, especially when it's something that you really want, something that's really good for you. And because it will run a person off if you're not able to, learn how to cope with and share with them what it is that you're going through. So I don't know, y'all. I hope some of this helped. I hope some of these tips helped. I hope you guys, someone heard like some moments where it resonated with them and they got something from it. If you check out my page again on Thoughts of a Blog Queen _podcast, I listed out these things. I listed out the ways that anxiety affects the relationship, and I listed out ways to cope through those things. So check that out, and make sure you're following me there. And let me know what you guys thought of the episode. If you have not dropped a review on Apple Podcasts, please do so. Let me know what you're thinking. If you guys want to share anything on the show, if you have any questions, want any feedback, share a story, anything that you want to share, or if you're interested in talking to me about sponsoring an episode or a few episodes or anything like that, or advertising on the show, shoot me an email at blogqueenpodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit me up, slide in my DMs on Instagram. And that's it, you guys. This is the wrap up for a woman's thoughts on her anxiety, her relationships, and her awareness. So until next time, y'all, peace and blessings.
Let's do this.
It's showtime. You're listening to the Thoughts of a Blog Queen podcast.
These are just my thoughts.
With your host, LaRae Renee.
A woman, her thoughts, and a mic.
Are you ready? Check this out.